stars from the American Conference against stars from the National Conference. Hello everyone, I'm Dave Johnson and welcome to the 1999 NPSL All-Star Game. This is the night to celebrate indoor soccer. For 15 years, the NPSL has been providing us with thrills, and each year, over 2 million fans enjoy NPSL soccer in arenas, and tonight, we have an all-star game for you on national television. It is truly a showcase for the artistry and athleticism of the sport. And my broadcast partner, Art Kramer, is downstairs with one of the great artists of indoor soccer.
I'm here with the great Hector Marinero of the Cleveland Crunch, and Hector, this is going to be your 7th consecutive all-star game in the NPSL. How special is it to you?
It's always an honor for me, especially when your own respective players in the league vote you in and they vote you into the starting lineup. It's always a nice pleasure, and I'm excited about tonight's game. I think it should be a lot of fun, and it gives us a chance to showcase our game to a lot of people who have never seen it before, and I'm excited about tonight.
Well, we mentioned that Hector Marinero was great, and just to show you how great he really is, I want to present this candy bar that they have named after Hector Marinero, and you can get one in your local store, and I'm going to try it, Hector, see what I think.
All right, it's pretty good. It's not bad. I was surprised. It's great taste.
All right, back up to you, DJ.
Hector Marinero, the Cleveland Crunch, has a sweet candy bar, and he'll provide us with some sweet shots tonight on the carpet. Now, all these stars, but they need a conductor, a maestro. And again, Art Kramer is downstairs with one of the maestros, one of the head coaches tonight, Keith Tozer. Art?
Well, Dave, a lot of people don't know that Keith Tozer was the head coach in the first NPSL All-Star Game. And Keith, you've gone on. This is going to be your 4th game as a coach in the NPSL All-Star Games. Is it still fun for you?
Well, it's a lot of fun for me. First of all, it means I got a job, but no, all kidding aside, and I got a lot of pride in the NPSL, and the coach, the best players in the league, is always a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to an exciting game tonight.
Okay.
But instead, how about the star numbers? Astronomical indeed. 127 all-star appearances, 70 all-NPSL selections on display tonight, 32 title rings, 94 players of the week, 6 scoring champs, and we'll be very busy tonight. And this is Victor Nogueira of the Milwaukee Wave, goalkeeper of the year and most valuable player of the year last season, the Wave champions of the league. Warren Westcoat is in goal for the National Conference. He is from the Kansas City Attack. He is the only goalkeeper tonight for the National Conference. Ross Ongaro of the Edmonton Drillers. His first all-star game. He is the head coach of the National Conference. Art Kramer, of course, spoke with Keith Tozer, the head coach of the American Conference. The American Conference has the edge in this series, 6-2, as we look at the history of the 1999 NPSL All-Star Game getting underway between the American Conference and the National Conference. It will be the American Conference in the red, the National Conference in the blue and white. And again, Warren Westcoat of the National Conference, the only goalkeeper, because Jamie Swanner of the St. Louis Ambush unable to be a part of the All-Star Game tonight. So Warren Westcoat probably will be a very tired goalkeeper by the end of the evening. Eric Rasmussen, the wings, trying to work through the boards, and the American Conference on defense early in this game. Again, we're going to introduce you to some rules that make this game very exciting throughout the broadcast and very high scoring. In fact, in the last 4 All-Star games, 163 points in 4 games. Chris Hanser of the Edmonton Drillers tracking it down for the National Conference and putting it back to his goalkeeper, Warren Westcoat. Goalkeeper's very involved in the play as Mark Moser, the St. Louis Ambush, trying to get onto it, but instead Mauro Biello, the Impact, playing it back for the American Conference. Again, they are in the red jerseys, the National Conference in the blue, and it's in the net! It's in the net! The first goal! Nate Hauser setting it up for the National Conference, and it is in the Fox net.
Well, Dave, that was Mark Moser from the St. Louis Ambush finishing that one on a good feed that time from Hauser. And let's take another look here. You see Nogueira, what he's looking at in goal. And a nice play by Hauser to find Moser at the back post. And one of the great things about indoor soccer, Dave, is there's no offsides. And you saw Moser taking advantage of that rule to get behind the defense and finish that pass off from Hauser at the far post.
And that is a 2-point goal in indoor soccer, so it's 2-0 in favor of the National Conference, and the American Conference quickly coming back on the attack. 3-point goals are behind the arc that you see on your screen. Again, behind the arc, 3-point goals similar to NBA basketball. Tariq Walker on the ball for the American Conference. and he'll play it back to his goalkeeper, Victor Nogueira.
And Victor Nogueira, Dave, last year won the NPSL Triple Crown. He was the All-Star Game MVP, the League MVP, and then the Playoff MVP. You can't do much better than that.
Bo Vukovic for the National Conference. Detroit Rockers trying to slide by Tariq Walker, and that belongs to Victor Nogueira. He really is one of the great goalkeepers of all time. A 7.86 points against average, and that by far the best in the NPSL. The National Conference quickly on the counterattack, but the American Conference in the red, getting the numbers back. Vukovic loses the dribble, and Tariq Walker's onto it.
Well, you see Tariq Walker in red right there with the ball for the National Conference. Tariq is normally a target player, and tonight he's having to play in the back because of the injury situation, so it'll be interesting to see how Tariq holds up as a defender in this game.
Zoran Karic, they call him the Z-Man, looking for David Bascom of Harrisburg Heat, and Bascom, a good run, but good defense on the part of Kevin Hundelt of the St. Louis Ambush. He is on the ball for the National Conference.
Well, what Hundelt does good is he attacks out of the back. He's already got 33 assists so far on this young season. His best year was 49 assists back in 96, 97, so he's on pace to break that individual mark.
Janoni Martinez put under some pressure, but Warren Westcote, the goalkeeper, alert to it. And now again, the National Conference on the attack. Hanser, but that is going to be broken up by Scott Schweitzer of the Cleveland Crunch. So we try to introduce you to these All-Stars as they now perform on the carpet here in Wichita, Kansas. Hector Marinero on the ball, playing it ahead to Mauro Biello. Biello sliding through, but Westcote had the angle cut off with defense from Chris Hanser of Edmonton.
One thing Coach Keith Tozer told me before tonight's game was he wanted to set the goal for his team to come out and get a 6-0 lead by the end of the first quarter. They're already down 2-0, so Coach Tozer's going to have to readjust his goals as he goes along here.
The head coach of the champion Milwaukee Wave, the American Conference, that's Keith Tozer's team, quickly coming back. Karic, this one ricocheting, and it will be a kick-in coming up for the American Conference. So we told you it is very exciting, the National Professional Soccer League, and this is why.
Well, you're going to see a restart here, and you see the scoring system: 2-point goals, regular goals, 3-point goals outside that 45-foot arc, and then also 1-point goals would be a shootout or power play type situation.
Hector Marinero trying on the restart. He is the king of restarts off free kicks. Tariq Walker getting free into the net. Into the net. A goal, American Conference.
Well, I mentioned it would be interesting to see how Tariq defends. We know he can attack. As you saw right there, he uses his one-on-one skills, faked like he was going to go inside, and then with the outside of his left foot, pushed it past the defender, and he finished it up over Westcote's right shoulder to the near post. Watch Tariq fake like he's going inside, and then just beat Bros on the dribble. And Westcote, who was a little bit late coming out and cutting down that angle. Tariq, once again, he possesses that big left foot, and you saw it there.
A very acute angle. Warren Westcote seemed like he had it cut off, and Tariq Walker, in his first All-Star game for the Baltimore Blast, able to score. We have a 2-2 game in the National Conference, quickly coming back on the attack. In the National Conference, in the blue and white, the American Conference in the red, I believe we have our first whistle of the game as Mark Moser going down on the turf for the National Conference.
Well, the National Conference is going to get a restart opportunity here off the foul. And what Ross Ungaro told me before the game was he's going to let the 5 guys who were on the field stay on the field for the restarts. Once again, Moser taken down hard by Carbonera.
Rasmussen chipping into the corner on the set play by the National Conference. And a good idea by the National Conference. They're just unable to convert. Chris Hanser was in position and tried to bicycle it in from the corner. It will be a goal kick.
Well, restarts are such a big part of the indoor game, Dave, and I think the American Conference has an advantage tonight because they have Hector Marinero and Zoran Karic, arguably the 2 most prominent players on restarts ever in indoor soccer. So Keith Tozer has that luxury, putting those 2 guys on the field for the restarts.
Michael King to the middle for Mark Thomas for the American Conference, but Thomas unable to get to it. Now quickly, the counterattack. Victor Nogueira had that grab, the goalkeeper for the National Conference. Michael King trying to deke around Nate Hauser. He could not. And now the counter starts. Bo Vukovic of the Detroit Rockers. Vukovic dancing on the ball, shooting, and is denied by Glenn Carbonera. Carbonera blocking. And the American Conference trying to clear their defensive third.
Well, you saw Carbonera that time stand his ground and do a nice job against Vukovic. One thing Keith Tozer has Glenn Carbonera doing this year more so in Milwaukee is being more physical. And you saw right there before with Moser, he took Mark out from behind. And so Glenn, who's normally a conservative defender, is stepping up more, being more of a physical presence, and it's helped his game.
Good defense by Giannone Martinez of the hometown All-Star team, the Wichita Wings. And now the National Conference again coming on the attack. Tariq Walker on defense. Ken Snow, he is the league's leading scorer right now with a touch on the ball. Kevin Ketters of the Kansas City attack, and they'll tee it up from outside. The defensive third, Giannone Martinez, trying to get a shot off. Martinez again on the ball.
But what's interesting here, Dave, is the 5 red jerseys behind the ball. Something you don't normally see in an All-Star game is guys playing defense. But as you can see, Keith Tozer has his National Conference players in red all back behind the ball.
Danny Barber on the ball for the National Conference. And because of that, they're forced to bring it back out the midfield to basically get another look.
Well, the one concern that Coach Tozer had was Zoran Karic defensively. He said that when Zoran's on the floor, they're going to try to maintain possession of the ball a little bit more so than they would when Mark Thomas is on the floor as a forward.
Dave Johnson, Art Kramer in Wichita, Kansas, a great indoor soccer city. They're celebrating 20 years. 20 years of indoor soccer here in Wichita, and they're hosting the 1999 NPSL All-Star Game. The American Conference in the red jerseys, the National Conference in the blue and white, and we have a 2-2 game to start this one, but we expect more points. Many more. David Bascom, nice little back heel to Carbonero. He's pinned in on the boards, and now the National Conference a chance for a counterattack. They have a line change going on, and that's very much like hockey.
Well, that's one thing. When you win possession of the ball, when your team is changing, you want to keep possession and hold it up. A good outlet is to give it back to your team's goalie, and then you can allow those changes to take place.
Karic trying to get a step. Karic trying to create. Now David Bascom with the Harrisburg Heat, but the National Conference playing good team defense.
And as you said, Dave, Mark Moser, who's the target man, back all the way in his own box defending. So not only has Keith Tozer gotten his troops to get behind the ball, but Ross Ongaro has also been successful here early on.
Ross Ongaro, of course, the coach of the Edmonton Drillers, 2 Canadian teams in the National Professional Soccer League. The other one, the Montreal Impact, or l'Impact de Montreal, as I believe they say it, north of the border. And coming through the American Conference is Tariq Walker, bulldogging through. Another 2-point goal for the American Conference, and they take a 4-2 lead.
Well, Kevin Healy, the coach of Baltimore, may be watching this game, Dave, and saying, boy, I got a left-sided defender I didn't even know I had, because Tariq Walker scores his 2nd goal already this evening. As you see, he made a run through from the back. Karic, the most prominent assist man ever in indoor soccer, feeds Tariq, and he got a little lucky there. He bounced that shot over an oncoming West Coast.
Tariq Walker, talked to him earlier today, said he was excited about playing in his first NPSL All-Star game. That may be an understatement. Warren Westcote, again, he has to play the whole game, Art, because there's no backup keeper because of injury for the National Conference.
Yeah, we expected to see Jamie Swanner, who would have been making his 11th All-Star appearance in the Nets, but instead it's only Warren Westcote. And Ross Ongaro, the coach of the National Conference, told me that he expected his players to come out and play hard in front of Warren as professionals so he wouldn't be embarrassed.
Mark Thomas, he's good with the back to the goal, but Thomas is Mark Hauser for the American Conference. Michael King for the American Conference from the champion Milwaukee Wave. In the American Conference in the red, the National Conference in the blue. This is the 1999 NPSL All-Star Game, something the players take a lot of pride in.
And what you see the American Conference doing there is isolating the target man, isolating Mark Thomas deep in the attacking zone, and then Nogueira tries to find him with the outlet.
Gino DeFlorio had gone far post, but Warren Westcote able to intercept, but an interception in midfield now for the American Conference. Hector Marinero. That ricochets off the back of Bo Vukovic. Marinero pressing in. DeFlorio. Now Hector searching. Gino DeFlorio. Westcote trying to cut the angle. He is the goalkeeper. In the middle to Thomas. Blocked up the line. The follow into the net. Into the net. A goal. Mark Thomas.
Well, a good finish that time by Mark Thomas, the Turtle.
So the American Conference explodes to a 6-2 lead on the National Conference. NPSL. Apply today for your official NPSL MasterCard. Call 1-800-523-7666. Get your favorite team's logo on your official NPSL credit card. 1-800-523-7666. It's in the net, and it's all here. The NPSL official guided record book. Profiles of every NPSL team and a complete history of the NPSL. Only $20, including shipping and handling. 1-330-455-4625. Back in Wichita, Kansas, the goal scorer, Mark Thomas, to make it 6-2 in favor of the American Conference. If we take a look back at the goal, it's not only the goalkeeper, but it also comes down to team defense that plays a role.
Well, look at how many blue jerseys are in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 2 red, so they're disorganized right now. They need to find men, get matched up with them, and then go from there. As it was, 2 against 4 should never win that battle.
But Mark Thomas of the Florida Thundercats did win that battle, and we saw him do what's called his turtle celebration, the hand gesture he made, and that's harder than it looks. We were trying it last night.
Well, we talked about 3-point goals at the start of the telecast, Dave, and Mark Thomas has scored 345 goals in his career, 1 3-point goal. So when Mark Thomas scores them, they're going to be in and around the penalty box.
Only 1 3-point goal. Again, 3-point goals beyond the arc in NPSL soccer. 2-point goals at even strength, and there are power plays and shootouts, and we'll get to that when that, of course, applies. The National Conference in the blue and white on the attack, but Victor DeGuerra, the goalkeeper, coming up with it. For the American Conference, they have the lead, 6-2 in the red. We are in Wichita, Kansas for the 1999 NPSL All-Star Game, and now Gino DeFlorio and Zoran Karic, a 1-2 combination that worked for the moment, but now the counterattack. Mark Moser of the ambush. Moser is shut down by Hector Marinero.
And that was a good job that time by the American Conference to get back behind the ball after Karic had lost it. And that was Coach Tozer's concern, was would Zoran chase back after he lost the ball, and that time he didn't.
David Bascom coming streaking through. That one's sailing, but a goal kick. David Bascom, one of the young stars to keep an eye on the NPSL from the Harrisburg Heat.
Yeah, he really is. And the thing that makes him impressive is his quickness and speed. First 3-4 steps, very important to a soccer player, and Bascom has as quick as first 3 steps as you'll see.
It is a very unique game, NPSL soccer.
Once again, the scoring 1, 2, and 3-point goals. You've got shootouts, and then you've got over and back. And that, what the over and back does, Dave, is it forces teams to play attacking soccer. Like the half-court line in basketball, you're not allowed to pass the ball back over your own yellow line into your defensive third.
Lots of rules means lots of scoring, the way it works out in indoor soccer. Gianni Martinez tracking it down for the National Conference. Look at the shots on goal numbers. The American Conference with most of the offense, and a result, they have most of the goals, 6-2. They lead the National Conference. Erik Rasmussen, this is one of the great stars of indoor soccer from Denmark, 38 years old, but he is double teamed in the corner. David Bascom trying to pry the ball loose. Now the American Conference. And Gianni Martinez gets called for a little holding on Zoran Karic. That slows the counterattack. Free kick.
Well, Gianni Martinez is one of the better attacking defenders in the league. He leads all defensive players here in points at this point. Kind of like the Bobby Orr of the NPSL. Loves to attack, left-sided player.
Martinez plays it back to keeper Warren Wesco, put him in a compromising situation, and now the National Conference trying to clear the defensive third, and they will have a kick in. Gianni Martinez is from the Wichita Wings. That is the hometown team.
You know, we saw the graphic with the shots on goal before. Typically, Dave, you'll have about 30 to 35 shots for each team in a game. I think in this All-Star game, you'll probably see the shots taken up around 40 to 50.
Erik Rasmussen again. And he is taken down from behind, and that's one way to stop him. Scott Schweitzer of the Cleveland Crunch getting called for the foul. A free kick for the National Conference.
Smart play by Rasmussen because he had his back to the goal with nowhere to go. Just fell down, drew the foul, and now he's got to restart facing goal. The Americans with 2 in the wall, that means someone's going to be open. and we'll see if Rasmussen can find him.
Rasmussen on the restart, but it belongs to the American Conference. He decided to go to Kevin Hundell. He had Dennis Brose at the far post. Couple options. Now the National Conference getting it back. Dennis Brose sneaking in. Rasmussen the shot. It's blocked on the line by Tariq Walker.
Well, Tariq, the streak, doing it both ends of the field. You saw him score 2 already, and that time he was back on the line to save Nogueira.
He is making a bid to be the MVP so far.
A good patience that time on the part of the National Conference to work the ball around, as you see Brose with a little toe pass to Rasmussen, but Tariq kicking the left leg out and making the save.
Oh, he's got 1 save and 2 goals so far tonight.
And you see Pete Pappas, the backup goalie, on the bench, telling Tariq, nice job defensively.
Bo Vukovic of the Detroit Rockers sends that one. It'll be a goal kick coming up for the American Conference. Look at Hector Marinero and the rest of the American Conference team. That was Vukovic, not happy with his shot on that occasion. 2:20 to go here in the first quarter. Get 4 15-minute quarters in indoor soccer. Marinero trying to get the carriage. Coming through is DeFlorio, and he almost pinched a goal. Now Nate Hauser of the Kansas City Attack on the attack. Hauser will send it. Diagonal ball. Those are dangerous when played in indoor soccer. They can ricochet off the backboards. Jeroni Martinez, Dennis Brose of Detroit trying to redirect it in. Now played back to the keeper, but it was over to Nogueira's head. Glenn Carbonero heading it away from goal.
Well, a little miscommunication that time between DeFlorio and Nogueira, and that's something you're going to see in an all-star game. Guys that aren't necessarily exactly on the same page, and that time Victor came out. Gino thought he was going to stay in, and Gino almost put it in his own net.
And now the attack. DeFlorio getting at the carriage, but he cannot finish. Zoran Karic with the chance, but it'll be a goal kick. Zoran Karic, part of the dynamic duo with Hector Marinero. He has 90 points for Cleveland. Hector Marinero with 93. 2 players on the same team on the same line. That's production.
What I think one of the greatest accomplishments in this league's history was the 101 assists that Zoran tallied in 1996. You got to remember, in this league, they only credit 1 assist, unlike hockey where they give 2. To score 101 assists in 1 season is unbelievable.
And he is so dangerous on the restarts, on the free kick. Zoran Karic combining with Hector Marinero, the Cleveland Crunch. We talk about the thrills this league has had. They provided a lot of them, and there's a thrill. It's in the net. It's in the net. A goal for the National Conference, Mark Moser.
Well, that was very close to being a 3-pointer, Dave. I think he was just inside the arc, but Moser, who's a left-sided player, struck that one with the inside of his right, and watch the technique that Moser puts on this shot as he keeps his head down, locks the ankle.
That is very close to being a 3-pointer.
That's just a bomb.
Counts as 2 points, but you can see the line right there at the top of your screen. Watch it there. That is just inside the arc. One more rotation of the ball, and he's got a 3-point goal if he struck it from behind the arc. Mark Moser of the St. Louis Ambush scoring. 6-4 the score. The National Conference now within 2.
One thing the American Conference defenders need to do, Dave, is step in front of Nogueira. You saw that time Nogueira was out in front of 2 defenders on the American Conference, and they should be in front of him.
The American Conference in the red, back on the attack with 34 seconds left. Michael King searching. Getting some help from Mark Thomas. Westcote with the distribution. The quick counterattack by Mark Moser. Moser coming upfield. Moser trying to get a shot. It's blocked by Carbonero. We'll have a whistle and a foul. And this is going to be a penalty, so we should have a shootout coming up.
As you said, Dave, not only a foul, but a blue card shootout, and then a power play. And the reason why was because it was from behind. The foul wasn't that flagrant, but it was from behind, and I think that's what the referee saw.
So now, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, Eric Rasmussen. Carbonero in the box for 2 minutes. Eric Rasmussen gets to take the shootout. He's one-on-one with Victor Nogueira. And look at Nogueira. He's already trying to make himself look big. Rasmussen, Nogueira the save. That would have been worth 1 point. Now, the National Conference going on a power play for 2 minutes. If they score during the 2 minutes, that'll be worth 1 point.
Well, what Rasmussen wanted to do there was lift it up, and then when Victor came out, he could chip it over it or have a power shot. The problem was he shot it with the inside of his foot. There was no power on that shot, and it was an easy save for Victor.
The restart now. Dennis Brose drilling it into the wall for the National Conference. as we wind down the first quarter of action in the NPSL All-Star Game 1999 edition. Gianni Martinez on the ball for the National Conference.
Ross Ungaro told me before the game that he was going to go with 2 power play units, probably a minute at a time. So this first line you see out there for the Blue is going to play a minute, and then the other line's going to come on.
The National Conference will still be on a power play when we start the second quarter. 1 quarter in the books. The American Conference with a 6-4 lead. And we are in Wichita, Kansas, one of the great indoor soccer cities. And the man on the far right is our host, Randy Johnson, one of the owners of the Wichita Wings. And again, they've done a wonderful job setting up the All-Star festivities and the All-Star game in a great indoor soccer environment.
You know, Dave, one thing that Ross Ungaro told me, and I want to elaborate on, was the responsibility of the players to be professional, to make each other look good. And he said in All-Star games in the past, players don't track back defensively, and in turn, they make the other player on their team look bad. So that was his big concern, was to make sure that Warren Westcoat, his goalkeeper tonight, wasn't embarrassed out here tonight. I think after 1 quarter, the score 6-4. He can be pretty happy at this point.
No, he should be. 14:32 to go here in the second quarter as we look at one of the great ones, Hector Marinero. Have you eaten that candy bar yet, by the way, that we saw at the top of the... That does look good. National Conference, Dennis Bro is trying to make it look good. He's trying to plead that it should be a kick-in for the National Conference, but it will be a goal kick coming up for the American Conference. You see, Hector Marinero, again, 93 points on the season, and he is part of that dynamic duo that we talked about with Zoran Karic of the Cleveland Crunch.
Well, Hector is one of the best Canadian players that I've ever seen, Dave, and I think the Canadian national team really made a mistake by not putting Hector on their national team. They make the big point about, well, he's such a great indoor player, but he's not as good outdoor. Well, he certainly is capable enough as a soccer player to be on that side.
He's got skill, plain and simple. Gianni Martinez for the National Conference as they work it around.
And now this is their second power play unit. Remember, Hundelt was running the last one, and now they got Kevin Ketters from Kansas City to head this power play unit.
Eric Rasmussen dancing on the ball. They have 23 seconds on the power play. It's a man advantage for the team in blue and white, the National Conference. Dennis Bros, deking, shooting, and Mark Thomas was in position to block it with 14 seconds on the power play.
But you see good patience on the part of the national team that time, with Rasmussen holding on to the ball, and then Bros.
And this is why the power play, Glenn Carbonero was called for the foul late in the first quarter, as he actually fouled Dennis Bros, and that gave Ross Ungaro's team, the National Conference, this power play. They did not convert on the shootout. Now they're trying to convert on the power play, and the pass to the middle. Ken Snow was there, but so was Warren Westcoat, the keeper.
Well, you saw that time on the restart. The guy's going through the center of the box, but Nogueira was right there, and he read it. And Carbo's back on the field, so we're back at full strength.
Ken Snow trying to show his strength. Dennis Bros, Ken Snow, Bros. Mark Thomas, though, playing some turtle-like, shell-like defense. Bros staying with it. He is being denied time and time again, but he is persevering.
The American Conference has killed the penalty, Dave, but they need to get changes and get fresh legs on the field. They still have their team that killed the penalty out there, and as a result, that's why the National Conference is still pressing on the attack.
In fact, Mark Thomas just ran over to the bench. He needed to get a breather. Danny Barber of the Buffalo Blizzards sending it forward to Eric Rasmussen. Rasmussen turns! Nogueira smothers!
Well, that was a three-point try by Rasmussen, but unfortunately he's shooting against the best keeper in the league at defending three-pointers. Victor Nogueira has only given up two three-point goals this whole season.
Victor Nogueira, amazing reflexes. Of course, many goalkeepers have great reflexes, but you really have to watch this man over a number of years to appreciate. He will impress you time and time again with the difficulty of his saves. Zoran Karic. This will be a goal kick coming up for the National Conference.
Well, watch Victor Nogueira again, and you know, you look at the four areas of the game, Dave: physically, technically, tactically, and psychological. There is no weakness with Victor Nogueira. Technically, the best goalie in the game. Tactically, reads the game as well as anyone. Physically, he's 38 years old. This is his 19th season in indoor soccer, but he's the cleanest liver you can ever imagine. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and he's also got a wife, Pam, who's got experience in massage therapy. So when he comes home from the game, gets his massage, lives right, and he's ready to go again.
He could go to at least 48, and I think many fans hope he does, certainly in Milwaukee, home of the Wave. Tariq Walker playing defense. Again, he's a forward. He comes up with a steal. Now Karich trying to find Hector Marinero. Hundelt intervenes, but Marinero, the American Conference, stays with it. To Karich, it's in the net! It's in the net! Oh, it's in the net! A goal! Zoran Karich.
Well, we've seen this combination time and time again throughout the years. Either Marinero to Karich or Karich to Marinero, and that time Hector provided the pass, and then Zoran with the one-time finish, and that was the big key, is that he didn't settle this ball. Watch Zoran, first time, doesn't allow Westcote to react. You see Westy, by the time he started diving, the ball was already in the back of the net. First time shot, doesn't allow the defender time to close, and doesn't allow Westcote time to react.
The American Conference now ahead 8-4 in the National Conference. Dave Johnson, Art Kramer in Wichita, Kansas, the Kansas Coliseum, the home of the Wichita Wings of the National Conference. In fact, Sterling Westcott of the National Conference, Wichita Wings, just with a touch on the ball. Now Dennis Brose, who's been trying so hard. He's from the Detroit Rockers, but unable to get past the defense, and Victor Nogueira of the American Conference. If you're just tuning in, you see that score 8-4. Yeah, you're watching soccer, but that's the way it goes in indoor soccer, and especially NPSL indoor soccer. Glenn Carbonell trying to play a ball forward, lost in traffic. He stays with it. But now Dennis Brose for the National Conference. They're trying to get a 3-on-2. Bo Vukovic on the overlap. Vukovic. Oh, Bo Vukovic.
A good run that time by Vukovic into the attack to create numbers. Brose's pass was just a little behind him, but Vukovic did well to get that shot off.
Mauro Biello of the Montreal Impact playing it to Michael King. King putting it into space, but Nate Hauser of the National Conference will track it down.
It's going to take Michael King a little bit longer to get himself going tonight. He just came off playing 3 games in 3 days over the weekend. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it take King, or at least a half, to really get into the flow of this game.
A busy time for his club team, the Milwaukee Wave. Milwaukee Waves, Michael King on the ball now. Zoran Karich trying to create.
And we talked about Michael King. He's averaged 68 goals and 30 assists over his last 5 years. He's on pace to score only 40 goals this year.
Eric Rasmussen. Rasmussen denied by Tariq Walker.
Well, there's those long legs of Tariq as he just waited for Rasmussen, and look at him get into the attack as well.
This one off the post, a chance by Marinero, and I think Walker making that run actually distracted Warren Westcote, and Hector Marinero putting it off the goalpost.
He did, Dave, no question about it. Provided a screen that time, and that shot came off the inside of the post and just casually right back into Westcote's hand. But I'm sure Warren will take a few more of those off the post.
8-4, the American Conference on top. Eric Rasmussen. He has 73 points in 13 games.
And he's so good in tight spaces. That's really what makes him a special player.
Giannone Martinez. That's nicked just outside the post. Into the corner, but too far. And we will have a goal kick coming up for Victor Nogueira and the American Conference.
As we said, Martinez is an attacking style defender, and he's also left-sided, which makes him all the more valuable. Just outside the three-point arc, he lets loose, and that one wasn't off target by much.
This is the National Professional Soccer League All-Star Game as we celebrate the wonderful sport of indoor soccer. 8-4 to go in the first half. 8-4, the American Conference with the lead. And they've actually done well. They've won 7 of 9 and 3 of the last 4. National Conference zone doing well. It's in the net. A goal. Mark Moser. It's in the net. The Fox Sports Net.
Oh, that was a good play that time by Barber to win the ball in the midfield. You see Barber with a little touch pass to Moser, and then Moser with that patented left foot, and another ball that bounced over the goalie. We've seen that twice earlier in the game with Walker, and now Moser uses the bounce to his advantage and gets it over Nogueira.
Mark Moser of the St. Louis Ambush has cut the American Conference's lead to 2 points. American Conference leads 8-6. But Moser and the National Conference attacking like a tsunami. And now the American Conference. Gino DeFlorio sending it forward to Mark Thomas. So Moser and Tariq Walker, the early favorites on each team for the MVP.
I think Tariq's a little bit ahead of him.
Well, he's got to
save off the goal line. But we got a long way to go in this one, Dave.
Mark Moser on the ball now. Ginoni Martinez will play it to Nate Hauser of the Kansas City Attack. 7:49 to go, first half.
I'm sure Keith Tozer, knowing him as I do in Milwaukee, is reassessing his goals right now, and he's probably telling the team 10-6 or 12-6 by halftime. It's 8-6 right now, 7.5 left. He's looking to go up 12-6 by the half.
And we should explain, you know him very well, because my broadcast partner, Art Kramer, who I've worked with for 7 years, I'm so proud you have a championship ring from coaching. You were the assistant coach, and still are, of the Milwaukee Wave to Keith Tozer.
It was nice. It was nicer to see Keith Tozer, Victor Nogueira, Michael King, Steve Morris, guys like that who have been with the Wave for 6-7 years to finally get that championship ring. They've worked so hard.
Well, I just say you wear it well. Victor Nogueira playing it forward. Michael King, nice ball to Gino DeFlorio. DeFlorio in the middle. Karich flicked it, but no one was on the wing.
You know, Keith was so excited to be able to coach Hector and Zoran tonight so he could watch him on restarts. And wouldn't you know it, they haven't had but 2 restarts this whole first half.
Ginoni Martinez!
Well, unlucky there for Ginoni, Dave. That ball just popped up on him before he went to shoot. Might have hit a seam in the carpet and popped up. And that's why he belted that one about 12 rows up in the stands.
That appeared to be a certain goal. He had a crease through the defense, and I think you're right. It just got out of control at the last moment. I think he's confused as to what happened on it. Mauro Biello of the American Conference leaving it for Hector Marinero. The National Conference are working hard to win it midfield. Bo Vukovic, Eric Rasmussen, now to Ken Snow. Vukovic into the corner. He's marked by Mauro Biello and Scott Schweitzer. Schweitzer crab-legging in there.
And right now, the National Conference content just to play 4-on-4. Zoran Karich for the American is all the way down at the other end of the floor waiting for an outlet.
Rasmussen to Snow. Rasmussen! Rasmussen danced like a stair with the style of Rogers. But no goal.
And there's Karich at the other end of the field waiting for that outlet, as he simply will not play defense and then challenge the other team to put a man on him and then play 1-against-1.
Ken Snow playing it forward. Nogueira comes out. Mauro Biello for the Montreal Impact on it. To Hector Marinero. A dangerous 2-on-1 to Zoran Karich. Karich back to Hector. Into the net. Into the net. Oh, into the net.
Well, Dave, Cleveland has done this for years, and what they do is they'll let you attack 4-on-3, so they get a 2-on-1 at the other end. And as soon as that 4-on-3 breaks down, this is what happens. 2-on-1, a simple pass, and there's Hector to clean it up. They've done that for years and years. The key is you have to capitalize when you have numbers 4-on-3.
And you feel for Kevin Hundeld of the National Conference in this situation.
Well, Kevin Hundeld and Warren Westcoat, and they almost had that one snuffed out. It almost hit Hundeld and went to Westcoat, but 2-on-1 with the dynamic duo, you're going to lose most often.
Well, the American Conference in the red jerseys back up by 4 points on the National Conference. Dynamic duos, we're seeing 2 tonight, and I think they fit in with this company.
Well, no doubt about it. They rank amongst the greatest in their sport.
In fact, Hector has a candy bar, just like Ed McMahon has all that stuff that he mails you each week. 10-6 the score. And we said that Eric Rasmussen danced like a stair. He is a fun player to watch. We'll point him out again when he's on the carpet for the National Conference. Victor Nogueira coming out. And the American Conference eluding trouble, but just. Ginoni Martinez. Playing it back to his keeper, Warren Westcoat. And now the National Conference. Nate Hauser on the attack. Carbonero pestering him. Blasting the shot. Barber into the net. Dennis Rose. Into the net. Into the net. Dennis Rose finally breaking through.
Well, great reactions that time by Bros to get that ball off the boards. Once again, Bascombe was in the middle defending, but you see Bros in the box, unmarked, and first time, good play that time by Bros to beat Nogueira.
Dennis Bros, who's had so many chances, finishes one, and now the National Conference is within 2 points.
In the 90s. Dennis's best season was 96-97 when he scored 236 points.
Tariq Walker cranking it up for the blast. And Gino DeFlorio almost slipping one in for the American Conference.
Well, the G-Man, as he's affectionately known, you're not going to see him miss those very often, as he was more surprised than anyone to find himself that alone at the back post.
Mark Moser on the ball for the National Conference. And Hanser, Chris Hanser of Edmonton with a chance. The National Conference getting some opportunities. Tariq Walker, though, will try to clear it for the American Conference. They have the 10-8 lead. Gino DeFlorio, who may be the best dressed member of the NPSL.
And that was once again an opportunity for the National Division to capitalize 4-on-3 with Karich on the field. They didn't do it, and now back comes Marinero and Karich the other way.
Zoran Karic, in fact, with the ball for the American Conference. 3:20 to go here in the second quarter. Second of 4 quarters. Gino DeFlorio, the step, the shot, Westcoat, the save. Now Kevin Hudelt in the National Conference. He surveys numbers. This is Eric Rasmussen. We were talking about how he could dance on the ball.
And the defenders in red should give Tariq a little more support than what they're giving him now, as you do not want to allow Rasmussen to go at you one-on-one.
Bo Vukovic with the shot. Warren Westcoat certainly tested.
You know, this is the type of save you want early in the game, Dave. It's pretty routine. Gino takes the shot from outside the three-point line, but it's one that Westy can really see, get his hands on, and he'd love to see that early in the game.
And again, he will have to go the distance. A goalkeeper in the All-Star game, and it's in the net! It's in the net! A goal for the National Conference, as the American Conference caught a bit at 6s and 7s, and the National Conference able to get the goal. Ken Snow, the league's leading scorer, gets his first.
Watch Snow here, Nogueira out, and it looks like it's a three-pointer, as Snow was definitely behind that arc. As of now, they've only credited him with 2, but he definitely chipped it over Nogueira's head, and Ken Snow has got to be the comeback player of the year. Played his college soccer at Indiana University. Played in this league for Chicago back in '93-94. Took a couple years off, but he's back this year with St. Louis. And you see Ross Ungaro, he wants the extra point. He knows that that was a three-pointer, and that's what he's upset about right now.
Well, you called it, Art. Ross Ungaro complaining it should have been a three-pointer, but perhaps the transition caught everyone off guard, including the referees. Mauro Biello with a chance for the American Conference. Now Glenn Carbonero, we have a tie game, 10-all.
Well, the three-point shot is one of those tough calls. It's also a job of the third official in the box to help those guys out if he sees it's behind the arc.
Mauro Biello now for the American Conference. Into the corner, Carbonero across the box. But the National Conference escapes as Michael King was running through.
Well, Kinger made a great run through the box. Unfortunately for him, he was the only thing that finished in the goal.
And he doesn't count. We're going to have a foul coming up on Nate Hauser of the Kansas City Attack. All right, 2 points or 3 points. You make the call at home. When we have a chance, we'll show that to you because Ken Snow was so close to being behind the arc, it appeared. But again, it was kind of a haphazard play in transition.
You know, Dave, I don't think it was that close. I think he was well behind, but as you said, it was such a transition, a quick transition, the referee didn't have time to get in position. Once again, a good 2 feet behind, his foot even lands behind the arc.
No question, but I think probably what prevented the call from being made, it happened in a lightning second. Ross Ungaro, though, was right on it, the head coach of the Edmonton Drillers and the National Conference. And he was unhappy because that would have given the National Conference a lead 11-10. They settled for a 2-point goal. A restart, free kick for the American Conference. Tariq Walker thunders it in the box. And now the National Conference will try the counter. Danny Barber streaking forward. David Baskin with the heat, protecting and then putting it back to Victor Nogueira.
Well, Barber, as you saw there, one of the quickest players in the league, but unfortunately for him, he was going up against another quick player in Bascome. The two buzzing bees were buzzing that time.
A lot coming up at halftime here in Wichita, Kansas, for the National Professional Soccer League All-Star Game. We'll get the latest from Commissioner Steve Paxos, and we'll take you inside both locker rooms. Hey, you don't get that everywhere. You're getting it in Wichita tonight and across the country. The American Conference in the red. Back on the attack. Karich rolling the ball. Dennis Bro is just getting the left foot in.
Well, I'm impressed with the amount of defense being played by each team's forward players. And that time you saw Bros just lay himself out to stop that dribble by Karich.
Kevin Ketters of the Kansas City Attack leading the attack. Playing the ball forward. A chance for Sterling Westcott of the Wichita Wings, but Nogueira had it cut down.
Well, you talked about Victor's reflexes earlier in the game, Dave, and there you saw it. Quick shot, but Victor, with the quick reflexes, was able to knock that one away.
All right, we're winding down the first half. We have a 10-10 game between the American and National Conference. We told you that Art Kramer will be in the locker rooms in the halftime to take you inside. Nate Hauser for the National Conference, charging forward with 14 seconds. The American Conference now will try to pinch one, give them the lead at half. Zoran Karich, the back heel to Carbonero, the shot off the post, the foul into the net! Into the net! Oh, into the net! Zoran Karich with 3 seconds left. The American Conference will have the lead at halftime, barring the very dramatic. You look at the replay, Carbonero getting the back. Zoran Karich, together with Hector Marinero and Glenn Carbonero, at one time did play for the Cleveland Crunch. So tough in transition, they showed it there. So, the American Conference with the punctuation mark for this first half. Halftime in Wichita, the American Conference with a 12-10 lead on the National Conference. They take the lead at halftime on Zoran Karich's goal, 12-10. Dave Johnson back with you at the Kansas Coliseum. As promised, as the NPSL celebrates 15 years, we promised a lot of excitement, and so far we have received that excitement in the first 30 minutes of this contest tonight in Wichita. The man directing all the excitement for the National Professional Soccer League is the commissioner of the National Professional Soccer League, Steve Paxos, and we have the pleasure of spending some time with him at halftime. And really a lot of exciting times now for the NPSL. You added a franchise this year in Miami, Florida, the Florida Thundercats, and you're receiving interest all the time from cities around the country.
Well, you know, the demand is tremendous. We have 3 applications that the board is reviewing right now. Chicago for the year 2000, Toronto possibly next year, and Reading, Pennsylvania for the year 2001.
So more interest for NPSL, more cities, and also more fans. That's the other thing that seems to be a constant with this league. The attendance keeps growing.
Well, you know, we're close to the 6,000 mark. We have tripled the attendance since the original season back in 1984. And if this continues another 15 years, we'll be selling out every building in the country.
That's the goal, of course, for the NPSL. A big crowd on hand tonight, and as you mentioned, one of the reasons why is affordable family entertainment. Now, I know you've been in charge a long time, been a part of the NPSL a long time. We'll get your memories in just a moment, but you're moving up the charts, Commissioner. You're now at number 2, right behind David Stern, as we look at longest tenures for commissioners, and I know that it's been quite a ride the past 10 years, and even the past 15 years, because you were involved at the beginning as a coach and an owner. What sticks out as you look at the 15 years of indoor soccer?
Well, I think that one thing that comes to my mind first was my victory in 1988, when I was coaching the Kent Invaders and won the championship. I think that was a highlight.
So you've done everything, Coach, and of course, you look at the fans. The fans also part of the 15 years.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's the fans, when affordable family entertainment. You know, for the price that it takes to go see one of the major 4, you can bring a family here and have a good time.
Well, here's to another 10 years and more as commissioner of the NPSL.
Thank you very much.
That's Steve Paxos, the commissioner of the NPSL, with us at halftime. We're coming back with more to Wichita. He is going into the National Conference. They trail by 2 points. And they are getting ready for the second half of play, getting mentally psyched.
Championship wrestling.
Dennis Rose giving us the peace sign. Bo Vukovic giving us the thumbs up. And Art Kramer is standing by with someone. That someone is Ross Ongaro. Ross Ongaro, of course, the head coach. Art, you're with Ross down there, right?
Okay, it didn't take me long, DJ, to find a head coach, Ross Ongaro. Ross, your assessment of the first half.
Oh, it's an excellent game. Who said we can't play defense? These guys are all over the place.
Well, that was your goal going in, was to try to get 5 behind the ball, and so far so good. What's any adjustments for the second half?
Well, I'm not going to tell you because you'll go and tell Keith. But definitely the guys are playing well. They're coming back. They're attacking. We've had a lot of good chances and a couple goal posts, but we'll be back in the second half.
Okay, you heard it, DJ. Back to you.
Conference with 23 shots on goal, so they have actually outshot the American Conference, but they trail in this one. Victor Noguera, though, coming up with 9 saves, 5 for Warren Westcote. Look at the number of times we took you inside the locker room. He is set to return to the broadcast position. We've returned to action here in Wichita, Kansas. Third quarter, third of 4 quarters. Hector Marinero glancing it off the glass, and Mauro Biello chasing, but Ken Snow on defense, helping out for the National Conference. Giannone Martinez will clear, and the National Conference will try to equalize. A heartbreaker, surrendering a goal with 3 seconds left in the first half. Nate Hauser's shot is blocked by Scott Schweitzer. Rasmussen, the nifty back heel. Kevin Ketters. You can watch Rasmussen. He can dance on that ball. Giannone Martinez, nice through, near post, and Hauser can't finish it. Hauser was right there. Great ball movement on this play by the National Conference. Giannone Martinez, good step to get around Mauro Biello. And Hauser's right there. I think Hauser was ready to celebrate, and unfortunately for the Kansas City attack defender, could not finish. And the American Conference keeps a 12-10 lead on the National Conference. Kevin Hundell now chipping the ball for Dennis Brose, but Michael King intervening. We will have a kick-in coming up for the American Conference. Art Kramer is back from being inside the locker room. And Pete Pappas is now in goal for the American Conference. He is from the Philadelphia Kicks.
LJ, Pete Pappas is one of the up-and-coming players in this league. His first year in the league, he was 15 and 16. And you talk about sophomore jinx. It didn't happen with Pete Pappas. The next year, he comes back and goes 24 and 9. And then he also was 10 and 3 in a playoff. So an outstanding second season by Peter Pappas.
From the Philadelphia Kicks. Tremendous franchise. They were owned by Ed Tepper, one of the founders of the sport of indoor soccer. He helped develop the game. Collision, and we're going to have a 2-minute penalty coming up. A 2-minute penalty coming up as you'll watch Danny Barber coming through, and Mark Thomas denies.
And see, that's one of those borderline ones, Dave. Barber's coming in, just couldn't stop, but Thomas did a nice job of getting his body between Barber and the ball to draw that foul. So now we're going to see Zoran Karic on the one-point shootout.
Karic one-on-one with the goalkeeper, Warren Westcote, as Barber gets a 2-minute penalty. Karic, it's in the net. It's in the net. A goal, American Conference, 1-point goal in the Fox Sports Net.
Well, if there's no room left and there's no room right, there's only one place to go. Right.
Points on the night. So the American Conference, the team in the red, they have a man advantage for the next 2 minutes. And if they score during that man advantage, the goal will be worth 1 point.
Well, that's how Zoran does it. He's got 7 points already, and you hardly even notice.
Warren Westcote probably does, but you're right, as a fan watching at home. Warren Westcote, the goalkeeper for the National Conference game, he has to go the entire game.
Westy's happy. He only has to see Karic and Marinero twice during the regular season. We at Milwaukee see these guys 6 times, so we know all about Hector and Zoran.
Get Westcote going the whole game because Jamie Swan of the St. Louis Ambush could not play in the All-Star game because of injury.
And this is a potent power play the American Conference puts out there. DeFlorio, Carriage, and Marinero with King and Thomas down low. You got 5 goal scorers on the pitch.
Good ball movement by the American Conference on this power play. 1:06 left on the man advantage for the American Conference. Michael King denied by Westcote. A good defense on the part of the National Conference.
This is a good time for the National Conference to try to attack the American Conference's power play unit. They don't have a lot of speed in the back with Hector and Zoran, and they can go at him and try to score a shorthanded goal, as you see Barber serving his 2-minute penalty.
Looking at the clock, showing 42 seconds left. Annie Barber, sighting player from the Buffalo Blizzard. And the National Conference is using the clock, and this is what killing a power play was all about until now. Mark Thomas. And the American Conference now. Zoran Karic. Scott Schweitzer steps off. And Gino DeFlorio steps on. Hector Marinero. The save, Warren Westcote.
And that's what separates Hector from most of the players in this league, is his ball striking.
Long ball for Dennis Brose. Brose trying to trap it. DeFlorio of Harrisburg getting back on defense. Gino DeFlorio winning the ball. Teams at even strength as Danny Barber serves his time. And now, in transition, Chris Hanser of Edmonton trying to prevent Michael King from getting onto it. And King is called for the foul of a free kick.
And watch again, Carriage to Marinero. And Hector one time in it on the volley, and that one almost squeezed between Westcote's legs as well.
Almost went 5 holes, they say in hockey. The American Conference trying to clear. David Bascom of Harrisburg to Hector Marinero. Difficult ricochet, but Kevin Hundelt controls.
You saw Moser that time dive in at Bascom along the boards. You don't want to do that, because with the likes of Bascom, Biello, some of these quicker guys, they'll get by you.
Chris Hanser of Edmonton with a chance, but the American Conference had their numbers back, even though the keeper, Pete Pappas, was out. The American Conference has the 3-point lead here in the 3rd quarter. Hector Marinero. Michael King trying to turn. King is marked by Nate Hauser. And marked well by Nate Hauser.
We talked about Michael King's production being down a little bit this year, Dave, and that's what Keith Tozer wants. He told Kinger, less is more. You do less and we'll do more. And last year it worked to great success as Kinger was on fire in the playoffs.
The National Conference putting the pressure on, but the American Conference responding. Zoran Karic, you see him at field level, battling Nate Hauser. A good ball for Tariq Walker. Walker trying to play it in the middle to Scott Henderson, who's come on for the Philadelphia Kicks. And now, Mark Moser storming forward. Moser, it's in the net! It's in the net! Oh, it's in the net! A goal, National Conference!
Now, Mark Moser, and that's a hat trick for Mose in tonight's game. As watch how he counts. And
Keith Tozer.
You see Keith, and you don't think he wants to win these All-Star games? As he's a little bit upset with Ron Corey, the official, over something that happened.
Keith Tozer, the head coach of the American Conference. Maybe he thinks it counts in the standings. He's giving that intensity. We told you, though, that players and coaches take a lot of pride in this game. So Mark Moser with another goal tonight.
Well, back in the mid-90s, Brett Hall scored 80 goals for the St. Louis Blues hockey team. That same season, Mark Moser scored 95 goals for the St. Louis Ambush. So he led all of St. Louis that year in scoring.
4 goals now for Mark Moser, so a hat trick +1 for the St. Louis Ambush. And he has the National Conference now within 1 point. The American Conference in the red with the lead, 13-12. 25 points already in this indoor soccer game. And this is a tightly contested indoor soccer game. In previous years, we've seen one team get in front of the other by a large margin. But tonight, tight defense, good marking, and some good offensive skill on display.
Yeah, the American Conference has won 6 of the last 8 All-Star games. And I think due in large part because they've got the 2 best players in the league. Arguably, Victor Nogueira and Hector Marinero are the 2 best players. and they've led their team to 6 victories and 8 tries. The problem the American has now is they've already used Nogueira, and they're only up by 1 point.
The National Conference's Eric Rasmussen. Danny Barber. Oh, what a turn by Danny Barber. Got the turn on Mauro Biello, but Pete Pappas of the Philadelphia Kicks with the save. The outlet to Zoran Karic, and we're going to have a foul or a free kick coming up for the American Conference. Danny Barber did well on this one just to get that turn.
A good turn that time by Barber in the box, and Pappas stays his ground. Very important for a goalkeeper indoor to stay on his feet. If he goes down early, it's going to give the forward a chance to put it up above him.
Hector Marinero on the restart. Westcote, the header, Michael King. Michael King now getting away from Sterling Westcott. Karic winding up, but winding wide. If you're just tuning in and wondering why the score is 13-12, this is why it's 13-12, because it's multiple points in the NPSL.
And you see the 3-point goal, like basketball, outside that 45-foot arc. And we've seen a couple shootouts. The over and back, last year, it didn't have to be an intentional pass back. This year it does. I really think that that has added to this indoor game, is not having so many stoppages with the over and back.
And again, the over and back, essentially the yellow line is like midcourt in basketball. Once you cross over, you can't play it back. And that keeps everything going forward in the NPSL. Zoran Karic. Hector Marinero. Scott Henderson now on the ball for the American Conference.
And this is what Coach Tozer talked about before the game. When Zoran Karic, the man on the ball, is on the field, they want to keep possession, because when they lose it, you'll see right now, there's numbers coming the other way. So he stressed the importance of possession when Zoran Karic was on the field.
Janoni Martinez. Martinez with some space. Goes off Sterling Westcott. And now Dennis Bro is battling for the National Conference in the corner. Westcott of the Wichita Wings playing it through. Pete Pappas swiping at it to clear the box, and now the American Conference trying to clear their half of midfield. Chris Hanser of Edmonton stealing it. Coming through Bros, the ricochet. Went off the back of the keeper, Pete Pappas, but Tariq Walker there to clean it up. Good job that time by the National Division to double team Zoran Karic along the board. You saw Hanser come in and strip it and create that 2-on-1 opportunity. Hector Marinero now. He's got Bascom to the right. David Bascom. Bascom! It's in the net! It's in the net! Oh, it's in the net! A goal! David Bascom. You know, that's what we call an indoor soccer goal, Dave. The ball deflects off the keeper's legs, off Bascom's shin, and into the net. It was a good play by Bascom, don't get me wrong, to pull Westcote down. But watch, after he pulls him down, Westcote actually kicks this ball off Bascom's leg, and it goes in the net. The Fox Sports net. 15-12, the American Conference. When you hear someone talk about an indoor soccer goal, that's it right there. David Bascom of the Harrisburg Heat. He's from Bermuda. And gets a 2-point goal. With 6:09 left in the third quarter. So the National Conference again down by 3, but quickly on the restart. Mark Moser trying to control it, and Moser winning the ball. Scott Schweitzer made a mistake there defensively. He allowed too much space in behind him off the kickoff, and the National Conference almost scored directly off the kickoff. Within seconds. You tell our defenders in Milwaukee, give depth almost all the way back to the yellow line off the other team's center off. Eric Rasmussen, challenged by Mark Thomas. Janoni Martinez to Nate Hauser. And now Mark Thomas will lead the break. And a good run by Bascom to make it a 3-on-2. Bascom on the ball. And collecting it, Warren Westcote. Quickly upfield, Rasmussen. Oh, Eric Rasmussen. Good experience that time on the part of Rasmussen to realize he was just beyond the 3-point arc and go ahead and try it. Gino DeFlorio now. DeFlorio, some nifty moves. Mark Thomas. Thomas, the centering pass that ricochets wide. Rick Carbonero challenging Bo Vukovic, and will get called for the foul. Free kick coming up for the National Conference with 4:58 to go here in the third quarter. Good play back that time by Carbonero. He was a little bit tired, had gotten caught forward, and just instead of let them come 2-on-2, just committed a foul to allow his
team time to change, and now his team has the ball back.
Good look at Pete Pappas, how goalkeepers get involved in starting the offense. Mauro Biello. He wanted the handball against the National Conference, did not get that call. Now Eric Rasmussen. Ricochet. Danny Barber cutting in the middle. Pete Pappas able to collect as that one peppered around. But that was a good idea by Rasmussen. He played it off the boards and hopes the ricochet would get to Danny Barber.
Well, the problem was Barber was going to the far post on that one, and Rasmussen thought that he would go to the top of the box. Ideally, you'd like to have one player go to the far post and one player at the top of the box for that ball off the boards.
Good interception by Chris Hanser of the Edmonton Drillers, as Oren Karich was trying to convert and connect, I should say, with Tariq Walker.
You know, Dave, Westcote playing the whole game could work to his advantage because he doesn't need to get warmed up for the second half. You see Pappas in there now. It's going to take him a little bit to get going. Westcote has been strong throughout.
But it's the American Conference with the lead. Rasmussen. Pappas denying Eric Rasmussen. Rasmussen. Oh, trying to chip. Pete Pappas. Martinez. Oh, Bo Vukovic.
And you saw the problem the goalkeeper faces is seeing the ball inside that box. He had about 5 or 6 men in front of him, but a good job by Pappas that time to stand his ground, and he made a couple good saves.
And the National Conference still down by 3 points as a result. We look at Dave Hauser, plays for the Kansas City Attack. Look at the shots on goal.
And you see the National with 30, American 23. Pretty normal at this point for an all-star game, Dave. As we said earlier, you're probably going to see 40 to 50 shots for each team, where normally you'd probably get about 30 to 35 in a regular NPSL game.
You look at the average for a game is 67 shots on goal. Good team defense as Karich goes down. He's in some pain. Zoran Karich denied by Bo Vukovic and Sterling Westcott. Now Janoni Martinez forward for the National Conference. Good ball to the far post, and then Ken Snow blasts one. And Karich limp it off.
Well, Zoran looks like he's going to be all right. Great play that time by his partner Hector to get back to the far post. And that time Zoran just cutting the ball.
I think they collided knees.
Well,
Vukovic.
It may have been. It also looked like Zoran was trying to draw a foul that time by locking his foot onto the defender's foot, but didn't get the call that time.
Velcro feet at that point.
Sometimes good forwards will make you think that they're hurt, and then the next time out, they punish you.
Right. He's showing some good expressions there. I would give him at least an 8 for showing some pain. Hector Marinero to Glenn Carbonero. Pardon me, Mark Thomas. 2:40 to go. Mark Thomas, the chance. Warren Westcott the save. Now the distribution. Kevin Kenners. Chris Hanser running upfield. Hanser still in control. Dennis Brose got a knifing at it. But you're right, Warren Westcott, I think he's definitely warmed up for the National Conference.
Well, he's seen enough shots, and we'll continue to see shots with Hector Marinero and Zoran Karich on the field. And you see Wesley sticking out that left leg that time, much like a hockey goalie would, and he kicked that one away.
The National Conference in the blue and white, the American Conference in the red. Dave Johnson, Art Kramer in Wichita, Kansas for the 1999 National Professional Soccer League All-Star Game. It is the National Conference with the ball, but down by 3 points. Ken Snow on the ball. He is the league's leading scorer right now.
You know, one of the goals of both Keith Tozer and Ross Angaro was to get their teams to defend. And you can see that they have been successful in doing so.
Dennis Brose. Brose again. Now David Bascom. Gino DeFlorio for the American Conference. And here comes the American Conference, but the National Conference is playing defense. They have the numbers back. Karich, the nifty move. Karich. Zoran Karich.
Well, Zoran would rather score the great goal than just score any goal. And you saw it that time. Rolled the ball with the sole of his foot and tried to chip it deftly with his left foot. But unfortunately for Z, he missed it wide.
He is an artiste. Danny Barber. Dennis Brose, the side volley. DeFlorio tangled up with Giannone Martinez, and a foul against Giannone Martinez. So with 49 seconds left here in the third quarter, the American Conference with a free kick.
And one of the things that makes these players special is their creativity offensively. You saw Bros the last couple minutes try some different things, and they're not afraid to try some different things that can get them some goal-scoring opportunities.
Martinez intervenes. Mauro Biello winning the ball. But Martinez now for the National Conference. 23 seconds left. Mark Moser, he has 4 goals tonight. Right into the stomach of Pete Pappas.
You know, one area of the game that hasn't been a factor tonight has been restarts. We haven't seen a lot of restart goals, but in the fourth quarter, look for those restarts to become important.
Hector Marinero blazing one with 3 seconds, down to 2 seconds, and that'll do it for the third quarter. We have a contest here in Wichita. The home team of the National Conference down by 3, heading into the final quarter. Fourth quarter. Now, we told you that one of the most effective ways to score in outdoor or indoor soccer, of course, are the restarts, but we've not seen many chances by indoor soccer standards for either team, Art Kramer.
Yeah, that's very low, to say the least. You normally get about 3 or 4 restart opportunities per quarter, and you see only 5 restart opportunities the whole game for both teams.
Is this why the number of fouls coming into play? As we take a look at the number of infractions tonight, only 11 fouls between the teams.
Well, I think the players have enough respect for each other that they want to make sure that, number one, no one gets hurt out here. And I think that they played a relatively clean game. But, hey, it's a 15-12 game now, and you might see it get a little more physical here in the fourth.
Well, we have 15 minutes left. I think you hit the nail on the head because 15-12 the score, 3-point game. And the National Conference has struggled to beat the American Conference in all-star games, and they're so close tonight. And just as you mentioned, more physical, we have a foul.
And that time, Michael King doing a good job to draw the foul down the corner. They get Zoran Karic on for this restart. And now here comes Hector off the bench.
Here's the restart. Karic with this one, read and intercepted. Sterling Westcott of the hometown Wichita Wings with the steal. And now he's turning on the Wings, or the Jets. Dennis Bros with a chance.
You see Bros with that creative little flick that time.
And here comes the American Conference. Gino DeFlorio now leading the charge for the American Conference. Zoran Karic.
And as Keith Tozer spoke about earlier, possession when Zoran Karic is on the field. And Zoran doing a great acting job that time. Both he and Marinero falling down. And a number of teams throughout the years have complained that they are very adept at the acting job. Watch again. Zoran with Kevin Hundelt marking him just falls down, and so does Hector to get the restart. Dangerous here.
Bowling for players. DeFlorio denied. And the National Conference out. The outlet by Ward Westcoat to head to Dennis Bros. Bros! Bo Vukovic knifing through. Vukovic. Pappas putting his face on the line. Vukovic!
Well, Bo should have passed that ball to Dennis Bros, his teammate in Detroit, because Bros was standing wide open at the back post, and a simple touch pass would have resulted in a goal that time.
And made it a 1-point game. But Gino DeFlorio, the trap. DeFlorio, but Westcoat has it. They have changed gears for this fourth quarter. 15 minutes ago, they're putting it all out. Eric Rasmussen. Into the corner of the National Conference. Back out to Rasmussen. Rasmussen.
Oh, one cut too many that time, Dave. He had the defender skinned back to his right foot, but elected to cut it back one more time.
He slides on that carpet like a skater. Giannone Martinez for the National Conference. Nate Hauser now. Rasmussen. Rasmussen rolling in the snow, and he just could not get enough power.
Kenny Snow saw Kevin Ketters wide open at the back post, but he just couldn't get control of the ball to get it to him.
Now to King, it's in the net. It's in the net. A goal, American Conference. That was a 3-on-1 with Marinero finding Michael King.
Well, if you're going to miss when you shoot the ball, miss to the far post, because chances are your teammate will be there to collect the garbage. We talked about Michael King starting slowly, but here's Kinger getting involved in the scoring. A 3-on-1, Nationals getting back slow, but Kinger using the no offside rule to his advantage, getting in behind the defense, and he just has to touch it about 2 feet to score that one.
Ginoni Martinez was really the only defender back.
And he got caught ball watching. Martinez so focused on the ball, doesn't even see King, and Kinger, back post, has no problem finishing that one.
Michael King with the goal, and now a king-size lead for the American Conference of 5 points, 17-12. But
the two Milwaukee teammates, Carbonera and King, having fun here in Wichita.
We're now
said earlier, Dave, great to see Michael King finally win an NPSL championship last year with Milwaukee.
Now again, in NPSL indoor soccer, there are 3-point goals, and earlier the National Conference thought they had one from Ken Snow, and that could come back to haunt this team, and now they desperately could really use a 3-point goal. There was a goal by Ken Snow that was counted for 2 points, but a replay showed it appeared to be beyond the arc and should have been a 3-point goal.
That's a great thing about this game, is you can get back into the game quickly with the 3-point shot. 3-pointer now for the National puts them down just 17-15, and it can really change the momentum of the game quickly.
Zoran Karic in the corner for the American Conference. Puts it back to Tariq Walker. Tariq Walker with 2 goals tonight. He's denied by Danny Barber. They're playing defense. Barber forward, playing good, strong defense. David Bascom, nice chip for Mark Thomas.
Well, you see Walker come down that time and get stripped, and give credit to Ross Ongaro for making the necessary adjustments at halftime. Tariq had come through, scored 2 goals in the first half, but I'm sure Ross Ongaro pointed it out to his players that they need to keep an eye on Tariq coming down the left side in the back.
And now the National Conference. Danny Barber into space for Dennis Brose. Brose ricocheting. Barber coming through. Pappas smothering. Now Pappas the quick outlet. He is slowed down by Chris Hansen. And Kevin Ketters.
Well, Zoran's got 3 National Conference players on him. He said, I'm just going to push these guys out of the way.
Hector Marinero biking it upfield, but that clears the glass. And the National Conference, some of the fun of the All-Star game. He thought he'd try. Hector Marinero has actually scored many goals this way, not from half field, but always the artist. He tried.
Well, that was a bit ambitious there, Dave, but I guess when you got a candy bar named after you, you can do whatever you please.
You can have all the ambition you want and all the chocolate. Chris Hansen coming through for the National Conference. Nate Hauser with the steal. Marinero. 10:27 to go in this 4th quarter. The American Conference in the red has opened a 5-point lead on the National Conference, 17-12.
I'm still impressed with the discipline that the National Conference is showing and getting 5 players behind the ball. You might see at this point, down 5, a couple players starting to cheat and take some chances, but we haven't seen that as of yet.
Again, a lot of time, and they're not that far out of it. So they just have not been able to get the lead on this American Conference team. Dennis Brose played away from him by Glenn Carbonera.
And let's give Westcoast some credit, Dave.
Warren
Came out the
Westcoast.
second half. He's only given up 2 points, and for an all-star game, that's virtually unheard of.
Snow, the turn. Ken Snow getting the turn, but not the goal. And you know he wants it badly. He is the league's leading goal scorer. Ken Snow, 49 goals on the year. He's on the ball now from the St. Louis ambush. Now Bo Vukovic from Detroit.
You see Snow moving through the middle of the box, left-hand side of your screen. That's what makes him good, is that he moves about and finds himself getting into good position. Ken Snow's not the type of player that's going to beat you individually one-on-one.
Well, Ken Snow hungry for goal. He is going for goal. And Snow of the ambush almost getting one.
Right, he always is moving, keeping himself in position. That time tries to take the defender on one-on-one. Another area that Kenny's done very well this year in St. Louis has been on the restarts. These situations right here. He's found himself in good positions with good passes from Kevin Hundelt, Joe Reiniger, Daryl Duran. Those guys have been proficient for years on restarts, and now they've added Snow, and that just makes them all the more dangerous.
Keith Tozer knows that. As you saw, the head coach of the American Conference certainly concerned about this restart now for the National Conference. Janoni Martinez blasting it into the wall. Now Dennis Brose, the save by Pete Pappas.
Good news and bad news. Good news, Pappas made a good save. The bad news, it's a restart, top of the arc, because the ball was played out of bounds from inside the box. Watch Pappas, what he has to look at. Fall him back a little bit initially on the side. You see his body position going backwards? He'd like to have that coming forward.
Eric Rasmussen on the ball. Rasmussen to the post. No, it's in the net. It's in the net. Oh, it's in the net. Ken Snow.
Oh, we just mentioned Kenny Snow being a danger on restarts. And watch again, moving in behind the wall, finds a position. His initial shot goes off Pappas's leg. And actually, Pappas deflecting that ball may have put it in the net. I think that shot might have gone wide. But as it is, just a 3-point lead now, Dave, with still 9 minutes left.
Well, that's what we talked about. It was a 5-point game. The American Conference in control 9 minutes to go now. Lots of time. The National Conference only down by what could be 1 goal if they could score a 3-point goal. Down by 3 points. And I think you made a great point. Credit the National Conference for their discipline. They didn't overextend themselves, and they're in the game. Ken Snow! Snowstorm.
Good run that time by Snow. But he had 3-on-2 and probably should have passed that ball.
Zoran Karic, Westcote the save. Little nutmeg.
Well, if hands are hurries, they have numbers. 4 against 3.
Rasmussen. Hands are the overlap. They'll flick it to Hundelt. That's partially blocked. Kevin Hundelt trying to get it on the volley.
We talked about restart goals being important here in the fourth quarter. The National Conference already has one, and they've got another dangerous opportunity, and they can move back into a tie with a 3-pointer or down by 1 with a 2-pointer.
Scott Henderson, credit him for that block on that Kevin Hundelt volley. That could have been goal bound. Rasmussen, the restart into Snow. Now Kevin Hundelt. Eric Rasmussen.
Look at the good individual skill by Rasmussen, using the sole of his foot.
He makes a great point guard. He's drawn 2 markers, and he's drawn a foul. Quick restart, but too quick. And the Wichita fans love it again. He plays for the hometown team, the Wichita Wings.
And you see the individual brilliance of Eric Rasmussen. And I think the referee might have bailed him out that time, Dave, but when you're that good, you get the respect of the referees and you get those calls.
3-point lead for the American Conference in the red. The National Conference trying to close the gap.
And it almost looks like the National Conference is on the power play here, but they're not. They're still playing 5-on-5.
Well, part of that is Rasmussen because he draws an extra marker, like right here. Dennis Brose trying to center it. Hundelt trying to keep it in, and he's put it into the boards. We're going to have a shootout as Michael King is called for the foul. And now an excellent chance for the National Conference.
Well, a good job that time of Hundelt to embellish the foul. Kinger gets him, but look at Hundelt really throw his whole body into the glass. And you know what? The referee hears the sound of the boards and the glass, and he calls the foul and calls the 2 minutes.
So now a shootout for the National Conference. A chance here. Dennis Brose. It's in the net. It's in the net. It's in the net.
You know, Dennis Brose, former teammate Dan O'Keefe, who played with Dennis in Detroit, used to use that same move, and that's where Dennis got it from. He just uses the instep of his foot to lift the ball casually over Pete Pappas. You see Pappas go down because he thought Brose was going to shoot it, but Dennis got that move from one of his former teammates, a fellow by the name of Danny O'Keefe out of St. Louis.
Into the Fox Sports that it goes. And now the National Conference. Ross Ongaro, the head coach, going over strategy as they have the man advantage for the next 2 minutes. And again, if they score during this time, it's worth 1 point. They're down by 2. Kevin Ketters on the ball.
Now, Dave, I think it's important to mention they have the option to decline the penalty if they would have wished to. So they're down 2. They can only score a 1-point goal here. Had there been under a minute to play, you would have seen Ross Ungaro decline that penalty and elect to go for 2- and 3-point goals.
But he knows he has time, so he'll try to get a 1 point here and cut the lead to 1 point. So good strategy on the part of Ross Ungaro, the head coach of the Edmonton Drillers. Kevin Ketters with a step, a shot. David Bascom, good defense. Ketters using his body and draws the foul against Scott Henderson.
And Ungaro electing to go with that second unit power play team that he has. There's still 1:20 left. They'll probably go another 20 seconds and then change the whole line.
Under 7 minutes to go, 1:12 on the power play. The man advantage for the National Conference, the team in the blue and white. Kevin Ketters. Sliding into the middle to Hanser, and now from the right side, a chance that's denied. The National Conference, as Danny Barber had a chance. Now Mark Moser. Ketters settling the ball. It's pried away. Mark Moser knifing through. 45 seconds on the man advantage. Ketters gets a step, a shot, the back heel by Hanser. It's cleared away by Carbonero.
Good try by Hanser that time at the back post. Just failed to redirect it in. Behind his back. He's still got 30 seconds left. Time for probably 1 or 2 good chances here to end this power play.
I thought right there, the back is going to do it. Chris Hanser of Edmonton rewarding his Edmonton coach, Ross Ungaro. But instead, the National Conference back at work. Danny Barber. Near post Moser, and he just didn't get the spice on it.
Well, we've seen Moser score a few goals tonight, but not that time as he fanned with his right foot. He's a left-sided player. He was on his off foot that time.
Michael King out of the box. We're at even strength again. So now everything back to 2-point and 3-point goals.
That penalty only cost them 1 point.
17-15. It's a 2-point game. The American Conference with the lead. Mauro Biella, the steal. Wesco, the goalkeeper, is out, but Kevin Hundelt saves him. Well, the National Conference did have their chances.
Now they worked it around nice on the power play, and here's Hanser at the back post with a little back heel, and it just went wide. And now we have an important restart opportunity for the American Conference. We saw the National Conference capitalize once this quarter, and now it's going to be Zoran, Hector, and the American Conference turn.
Hector Marinero moving to the top of your screen in position, but Karich can't get it to him. But you can see Marinero moving in position as Hector and Zoran Karich and Hector Marinero have teamed up on so many restarts. Hector Marinero on the ball now. The overlap by Tariq Walker. Zoran Karich. Karich getting the step, the shot, the ricochet, it's in the net. Hector Marinero, it's in the net. A goal, American Conference. Hector Marinero. You know, we told you he would have some sweet shots tonight. None sweeter probably right now for the American Conference.
What was so impressive about that goal was after Hector played Zoran the ball, he didn't just stand and watch. He made a run into the box. Look at Hector out here at the yellow line. He's watching Zoran, but look at Hector now off the ball, start his run, and time his run in the box. And the defender, I believe that's Martinez, just was late in getting there. But you got to credit Hector for not being a spectator, but moving into the box and cleaning up the rebound.
Well, that's the secret of soccer. It's moving off the ball, and that's a great lesson for the youngsters at home. Hector Marinero moving off the ball and scoring. 19-15, the score. Score a goal with the NPSL. Apply today for your official NPSL MasterCard. Call 1-800-523-7666. Get your favorite team's logo on your official NPSL credit card. 1-800-523-7666. It's in the net, and it's all here. The NPSL official guided record book. Profiles of every NPSL team and a complete history of the NPSL. Only $20, including shipping and handling. 1-330-455-4625.
Play with the soccer ball of the pros, Candace. the official soccer ball of the National Professional Soccer League. Guaranteed for long-lasting high performance. Hand-stitched for superior quality, uniquely designed. Candace, the soccer ball of the pros. Available at soccer specialty stores everywhere. Soccer is the game. This is the name. Candace, the official soccer ball of the National Professional Soccer League. Candace for your team or league. A soccer ball that's one kick ahead of all the others.
Hector Marinero has won just about every award in indoor soccer, but he's never won a Most Valuable Player award in an All-Star game. And certainly he is making a strong bid late here in the fourth quarter for that award. And Zoran Karic has made a strong bid all game. Karic helping to set up Marinero's goal that has made it a 19-15 lead for the American Conference.
Well, I was fortunate enough 2 years ago to be the head coach in Toronto, and the general manager there was Hector Marinero Sr. And Dave, I tell you, that's where Hector gets his soccer playing abilities, from his father, who was an absolutely outstanding player in his day.
Hector also had a brother that played in the NPSL, Rob Marinero, who was a goalkeeper. The National Conference, the blue and white, trying to work back into it. They were just down by 2, back down by 4. Ken Snow is trying to force his way in. And Scott Henderson holding his ground, the talented defender from the Philadelphia Kicks.
Holding his ground. That's because he's a stay-at-home defender. Scott Henderson scored 38 points in 1996. He hasn't scored over 10 since then. So he's being used at Philadelphia in a little bit different role than what he was accustomed to in Harrisburg.
Chance here for the National Conference. Goal kick coming up for the American Conference. Well, coming up on most of these stations, Fox Sports News. Keith Olbermann, now part of Fox Sports Net. You can catch Keith Olbermann on Fox Sports News tonight. And in New York, Marv Albert and Madison Square Garden Sports Desk coming up. Our viewers in the Big Apple.
Well, Ross Ungaro has got some decisions he needs to make soon. When does he go to the 6th attacker being down 4 with 4 minutes to go? With these players on the field, 4 points is not that much. I would think probably around 2 minutes, 2.5 left in the game, you'll see him go to a 6th attacker.
So that's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes from now. As the National Conference trailing by 4, getting the 6th attacker, they would use a field player with a goalkeeper's jersey, and he would press forward and get on the attack.
And Keith Tozer on the American Conference bench, urging his guys to get back defensively behind the ball and defend for another 3.5 minutes.
David Bascom dancing upfield. Now Scott Schweitzer cranks up. Gino DeFlorio. DeFlorio the chance. Westcote the save. Schweitzer again.
And you're starting to see some undisciplined play now from the National Conference. Realizing they're down 4, they're starting to take some chances and cheating defensively and trying to get numbers going the other way.
Look out, Zoran Karic. Always numbers to Florio. It's in the net. It's in the net. A goal for the American Conference. 21-15 now. Suddenly a 6-point lead with 3:03 left.
And Ross Ungaro is going to take his timeout and go to the 6th attacker. Take another look at the replay. We saw Gino DeFlorio miss one at the far post in the first half from about the same position, and that time Gino said, "Thank you very much. I'm not missing this time." And that gives the American a 6-point lead. And Ross Ungaro is going to go to the 6th attacker right now. He's not going to wait. 3 minutes to go, down 6. He's going to see if he can get his boys back into this one.
So Gino DeFlorio, the goal. Gino DeFlorio, the goal. And Zoran Karic helping Gino DeFlorio, the Harrisburg Heat. Only in an All-Star game would he be doing that. And Karic, again, he's done so much tonight. So as you mentioned, strategy, a timeout taken by the National Conference, and you believe they're going to employ, and you are right, the 6th attacker. That looks like Kevin Hundell putting on the 6th attacker jersey. And how often have we seen this in indoor soccer, whether it's an all-star game, whether it's a regular season game, where this really does produce dividends and results?
It can. It can. Does it normally? No, it doesn't. You usually get scored on with a 6th attacker against, and the game's over. But sometimes it does. You know, let's give Warren Westcote some credit, as he played, albeit pretty well tonight. Gave up 21 points.
Which is almost low in an all-star game.
Low in an all-star game. But I'm sure Westy, you see there, he's not too disappointed in the way he played.
Playing the whole game because Janie Swanner injured from the St. Louis ambush. Kevin Hundell for the Kansas City Attack is the 6th attacker. So he will now be charged with going all over the field, and he is the only one that can use his hands in the box for the National Conference.
And this is where the three-point goal can really get you back into the game in a hurry.
Rasmussen, oh, Pappas the save, Bros. And the National Conference peppering the goal, but still searching. And a free kick coming up for Eric Rasmussen of the National Conference.
6 attacker against. We talk in terms of building a house defensively. So your top man's up by the yellow line, and then you form the shape of a house defensively and try to make them beat you from the outside.
So Rasmussen on the free kick. Snow! Ken Snow. Our next tonight, the director George Veras, our producer Dave Lilling, and the Doctor of Phontology, Ed Warren, helping to provide all the information you've seen on the screen and enjoyed tonight. Of course, Chuck Rear, the Director of Public Relations for the National Professional Soccer League, for all his help. And this is a presentation of Veras Communications and the National Professional Soccer League. Remember, all rights reserved. The National Conference, now with only 2.5 minutes left, they've gone to the 6th attacker. And so close tonight. You think about the number of chances they had here in the second half, and it really is a marvel that they're down by 6. I think when we look at the final numbers, we'll probably see a National Conference team that outshot the American Conference. But this has been the American Conference's game. They've won 3 of the last 4.
And 6 of the last 8. Well, the National Conference, they've still got time, but they're going to need a couple threes.
Yeah, they need a 3-point goal now because 2 minutes left, down by 6. A free kick for the American Conference. They need a defensive stop here.
And you may see the American back this one all the way out and try to kill a little clock. Normally you'd see him try and score from this position, but I think you may see Hector back this one out.
And indeed he smartly does for the American Conference, as their clock right now is their biggest assist.
One of the cardinal sins in hockey is icing the puck when the other team pulled their goalie. And you saw that time Hector playing it smart, didn't want to give possession away and allow the national team to come back and get a good opportunity.
Rasmussen for the National Conference. Ken Snow. Rasmussen.
Good read that time by Schweitzer.
Scott Schweitzer of the Cleveland Crunch, and now his teammate Hector Marinero leading the break. He'll set up Schweitzer. Schweitzer the shot. And Rasmussen getting in there at the last moment, playing some defense.
Now, once you settle the ball at the back post, it gives the defender time to set up. You saw Kinger that time shoot it first time, and that's the key.
Michael King with the goal. Zoran Karic is our most valuable player, and he's applauding that goal by Michael King. He is the 1999 All-Star most valuable player. And again, we saw him score tonight, but it's the way he was able to set up this American Conference team and provide the assists and engineer the offense as he's done for so many years in the NPSL.
Mr. Assist, Zoran Karic. Let's look at the last goal once again. Kinger at the far post. The key there is he hits it first time, doesn't allow the goalie to set, and he's able to beat Hundelt sliding across. You know, Zoran Karic is a showman. You give him a stage, and he's going to take it and perform. Always coming up big when there's something on the line.
Zoran Karic with 4 assists tonight. That ties an All-Star game record. So Karic, the most valuable player. I think some of the fans here in Wichita, they really wanted that National Conference, their hometown team, to win. And frustrated by the loss here, you could sense the rivalry developing between conferences.
Well, Zoran Karic came into tonight's game as the all-time leading scorer in the All-Star game with 33 points. He now has 40, so he just picks up right where he leaves off each year, and he's done it again tonight.
Zoran Karic, one of the masterful showmen of the NPSL. Again, the Cleveland Crunch are coming to your arena. Make sure you get a chance to see them because you're seeing one of the great indoor soccer teams and what is a very competitive NPSL this season. Mark Thomas putting the ball through. David Bascom dancing on it as we're into the final minute of what has been a very entertaining game. And I know it may be cliche, but it really was closer than the score will reflect in the end between these two conferences. We saw just about everything tonight. We did not see the 3-point goal.
Well, we saw the 3-point goal.
We did, but it didn't count. You're right. Ken Snow scored from beyond the arc, that 45-foot arc you see on your screen, the white arc. but it did not count as a three-point goal. So we did see it, but it won't go on the score sheet. Maybe Eric Rasmussen can give us one. Rasmussen with 8 seconds. Inside to Hauser. He is denied. And that'll do it. The American Conference victorious tonight with a 23-15 win over the National Conference. So a big win tonight for the American Conference as they continue their success in this annual classic. Keith Tozer getting a win.
Well, Keith Tozer, that was his 4th All-Star game, and he evens his All-Star coaching record at 2-2. And I know that was important to him. He wouldn't say so, but he is a competitor in every sense of the word. And I'm sure he feels good to be back at 2-2 all-time in his All-Star coaching career.
Congratulations to the American Conference, to the most valuable player, Zoran Karic. The final tonight, the American Conference 23, the National Conference 15. For Art Kramer and our entire NPSL broadcast crew, this is Dave Johnson. Thanking you for watching and wishing you a...
Andre semifinaler I fotballturneringen mellom Spania og USA. Ser vi dommer Mourad Bami fra Tunisia. Og vi skal da se Spania